We start this story seeing an elf waking up and saying good morning to someone named Xenos, telling him it's time to get up and then going to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. A few minutes later, Xenos finally gets up, returns the good morning to the elf, calling her Lily, and sits down to drink his black tea. At that moment, Lily shares a thought with us, saying that a healer is third-rate if they only heal injuries, second-class if they heal and comfort, and first-class healers make the world a better place. She mentions that the history of this kingdom, known as Herseth, is closely linked to healers, as they greatly helped develop this nation, achieving a very important position in this society. The hospital is where healers gather to learn sophisticated healing magic and obtain their license before they actually begin their journeys as healers. However, in a corner of the kingdom, there's someone who hasn't received formal education and also doesn't have a license to practice healing. And guess who, folks? Yes, it's our brother Xenos, who is currently treating a patient and upon finishing receives a modest payment for his service. As the patient leaves, Lily reminds him that today he has a home visit, and the doctor informs her that he should only return in the evening. Because of this, the elf promises to prepare dinner while the human is out. The scene then changes, and we see Lily lighting the fire and preparing the meal until Carmilla smells the food and comes to see what's being prepared, mentioning that the girl's cooking always makes her anxious. The happy elf simply replies that she's training to be Xenos' wife one day, and Carmilla, seeing all this excitement, says she'll rest in her room for a while and flies off to take a nap. At this moment, a woman named Zofia enters the residence looking for the doctor. Lily informs her that he went out for a home visit, and since she has no choice, Zofia says she will wait for him, mentioning that she hoped to have that handsome young man all to herself if she arrived early, but luck isn't always on our side. Then a cat woman named Linga enters, also looking for Xenos, and I'm already thinking that the entire female population of the city is at the guy's house, but we move on. Lily, seeing Linga, gives the same warning, saying that the doctor isn't there. Linga then laments not being able to completely lick Mr. Xenos while receiving a caress on her tail. Zofia informs her that she arrived first and suggests she go home, and as a consequence, the two begin a duel of sinister stares until Lily joins the competition. And if you think it's over, hold on, we have more. Because at this moment, another woman, very much in the Faith in the Crazy Ones style, arrives, smashing the door. Her name is Lowe, and Lily once again informs her that the man is on a home visit, also letting her know that the other patients are already in the back and that she will only come in if she fixes the door. When the whole group gathers, Lowe deduces that they came for Lily's food, but Zofia replies that she was probably the only one who came for that. Speaking of the elf, we see her busy preparing dinner at this moment, including the supposed secret ingredient in the meal. After doing so, she invites the girls to eat there when Xenos returns, and Lowe makes it clear that was the idea. Zofia accepts since she's already there, and Linga mentions that she'll also eat a big plate, and Lily says she's looking forward to a group meal and then retires to put away the washed laundry. Zofia confesses that the smell of the food is killing her, and Linga can't hold out until dinner, so she and Loewe go to the pot to get the food. Upon tasting it, the big woman and the cat woman mention that the taste of that food is incredible, and completely losing control, they attack the pot as if there were no tomorrow. Zofia warns that Lily won't like this at all, but upon smelling it better, she decides to try it too. Meanwhile, poor Lily was calmly doing her chores in the company of animals and nature, and this harmony brought her the peace she needed to lie on the grass and breathe for a moment. She has no idea of the frustration that awaits her. Back in the kitchen, we see that the group gorge themselves without mercy, and as the wise Homer Simpson would say, at times like these, it's my fault and I'll blame whoever I want. So Linga starts by blaming the other two, and Lowe just repeats her strategy. Zofia questions if the two are suffering from amnesia, and the Catwoman agrees that it's a good idea to pretend they don't remember anything. Lowe suggests they prepare more food, and Zofia thinks it's a good idea, but unfortunately it was already too late as Lily arrives and politely asks what the hell happened. At this, the three then sit at the table and each tries to explain, but in reality they're just stalling, and Lily, starting to run out of patience, just slaps the table and repeats her question. Zofia then spills the beans and reveals that the smell was irresistible, and she decided to try some of the food. Linga in turn says her hands moved on their own, while Lowe admits the food was very good. Seeing that the elf is getting annoyed, the three quickly gather and conclude that the little one is really upset. Congratulations, Captain Obvious. They then continue talking about a bunch of irrelevant things for the plot until Zofia herself gets tired and comments that the other two are losing focus of the conversation. And when I thought something would develop, they just keep fighting among themselves, exchanging various barbs. Lily then calls the attention of the negative IQ crowd in front of her and makes it clear that Xenos will be upset if they fight, and that all she wanted was to have a meal with her friends. Facing the moving outburst, Zofia bows her head and apologizes, while Linga does the same and promises to help with another dinner, as does Lowe. Anyway, the elf regrets that there are no more ingredients to make another meal. Hearing this, another figure intervenes to question what was just said, as it's certainly a problem. Linga gets scared and kneels before Carmilla, the ghostly creature who was eager to eat Lily's food and just found out it's not happening. Because of this, she mentions that perhaps it would be a great idea to make another stew, but this time a stew filled with souls to make it more flavorful. Facing such a threat, the other two culprits also kneel before Carmilla, but Lily thinks that heads don't need to roll. It will just be necessary to have more ingredients, and the three, feeling their hides were saved, think this is a great idea, and decide to go after the ingredients. Carmilla then asks if Lily shouldn't be more upset with them, but the elf confesses that she's fine. Carmilla, in turn, mentions that they wouldn't have the same luck if they had touched her drinks with their dirty fingers. The elf then replies that she acts calmer because she's mature and likes it when everyone is together. And for her, the real problem is not knowing if she can prepare the food before Xenos returns. The scene then changes, and we see our protagonist walking through the city in the late afternoon until a girl passes him, visibly in pain, and a man with a malicious tone of voice appears behind her, questioning where she was. The girl says she went to the hospital because of a stomach ache but ended up not being treated due to lack of money. The man grabs her hair and makes it clear that having a stomach ache isn't enough for a slave to take a break, then violently takes her away. As the scene unfolds, the guy takes the girl to a graveyard and throws her onto an old dirty gravestone, saying he believes it's perfect for a filthy demi-human like her. In the midst of the commotion, a shadow emerges from the tomb and enters the woman. And without noticing, the guy kicks her in the stomach and leaves, saying she will only be fed if she shows results. When he turns his back, she gets up and claws the citizen's belly, tearing it open. As we glimpse the girl, we see that she is emanating a very powerful aura, probably thanks to the possession that happened earlier. The man then runs through a devastated part of the city, yelling for help until he reaches Xenos again. He reports that his servant went crazy and asks the young man for help, but Xenos just criticizes his self-centeredness, and at that moment she catches up to him. Xenos asks what he did, and he replies that he just did his usual work, something related to agriculture, and since he's very injured, he's willing to pay if the young man can do something about her. At this, the girl tries to attack the guy once more, and Xenos asks what happened to her that's putting her in such a bad mood. And she responds by just throwing rocks at our protagonist, and he manages to dodge all of them. Realizing that our protagonist has great skill, the citizen tries to order him to eliminate her, but Xenos refuses as his job is not to kill people. Outraged, the boar insists that an aristocrat like him couldn't die for something so insignificant, and that for him, everything is solved simply by buying another slave. Upon hearing this, Xenos is taken back to a traumatic memory where he is before many fallen people, and coming back to himself, he clarifies that his role is to save as many people as he can. At this moment, the girl throws a giant rock at the healer, but he wraps his fist with mana and smashes the rock into pieces, something that scares the noble and makes him question what kind of healer is capable of doing this. The woman moves quickly and the healer knows her speed is unusual even for her race, but regardless, with a magic shield, he repels an attack he suffers and throws the girl against a house, and the impact causes a wall to give way and fall on the aristocrat. After resolving the mess, Xenos goes to the demi-human and says he will help her up, asking her to calm down a bit. At this moment, she crawls and complains of pain, while the evil aura surrounding her manifests again, and then Xenos understands that she is possessed. After that, the girl bites him on one of his arms, and with the other, he then heals her, questioning what kind of agriculture causes people to be possessed by spirits, eliminating the ghost shortly after. As the scene evolves, the aristocrat, seeing that the healer restored the girl's broken leg in seconds, emerges from the rubble and says that this doctor is incredibly powerful. He then begs for help, but Xenos replies that his shift is over for today, then asks if he can see him tomorrow, but the noble explains that he will be dead by tomorrow and demands to be healed now. Zenos mentions that he wants additional payment, and the guy throws a bag with several gold coins, but this is far from what Zenos would like to receive. After all, he is an unlicensed underground healer, and saying this, he then asks to take the slave as compensation, and the citizen accepts the terms, and with that, Zenos heals him. Next, we see the girl wake up, and Zenos, beside her, shows her the paper saying he bought her and asks her name, and she replies that her name is Till. He then unceremoniously asks her to take off her clothes, as his purchase was expensive and he needs to know if she's in good condition. After hesitating for a moment, the girl does as she's told, and after evaluating her, Zenos discovers that she has gallstones which cause inflammation. Without wasting time, he completely heals her, and she doesn't understand how he was able to do it without any enchantment or magic circle. She then thanks him for this, but he would like her to also show service besides just thanking, and Till then says he can ask for whatever he wants, and with that, he then hands her a notebook and asks her to look for something. After some time, she leads him to the plant he was looking for, and he thanks her for it. She then asks if such a simple job as that served him, thinking there would be many other things involved, but he says her work is already done. She, understanding nothing, tries to explain that she is in his debt, but Zenos says she has already paid him back, mentioning that he always demands a fair price for the work he does, and pays a fair price for what he expects others to do. She tries to say she didn't do anything, but he explains that it's not quite like that, as she found the leaves he couldn't have found alone, which means her value was equal to what he had done for her, and thus their debts were settled. With that, our protagonist then tore up the servitude contract and informed her that she was now the owner of her own life. Radiant, Till acknowledged that she didn't know exactly what she wanted to do from now on, but that she would live to find out and would return to tell the doctor when she did. She then asks if she could return someday to see him again, and he confirmed yes, saying she could always count on him as an underground doctor, as long as she had some payment to offer, of course. At this, the scene changes, and after a chaotic day, the doctor returned home and was greeted by Lily, who promptly informed him that the food wasn't ready yet, and at that exact moment, the greedy ones arrived with the ingredients. Along with them, Carmilla also appeared and commented that Zenos seemed to have had so much fun that it was as if he had met a new girl. After teasing him, she disappeared, while Lily celebrated that they could make a lot of food with everything they had brought, and Zenos couldn't wait, while Lily promised to make black tea for everyone to drink together. At this, the episode ends, and I confess that I'm curious to see how the adventure of our super cool healer will develop, and I'm also curious to see if you all will engage, and if you want the continuation of this anime here on the channel.